Here's a sentence that almost sounds impossible. The US military banned an AI company on Friday night, then used the same AI hours later to carry out an airstrike on Iran. This is not fiction. This is what happened in the last week of Feb 2026. And to understand why it happened, we have to go all the way back to January. Hey, welcome back. Today we are covering one of the most dramatic stories in AI history. Not just for the tech world, but for what it means for government, militaries, and the companies building some of the most powerful tools on earth. I am going to tell you the story in the order it actually happened. Every statement, every threat, and every twist, step by step. So, grab a cup of coffee and let's get started. It all started in January 2026. US Special Forces captures Venezuelan President Nicolas Maduro in a raid on Caracas. 83 people were killed. Maduro is flown to New York to face drug trafficking charges. What the world doesn't know yet is that Anthropic AI Claude was used during this operation. Not officially confirmed, but according to multiple sources, Claude was deployed through Anthropic partnership with Planter, a defense tech company deeply embedded in the Pentagon, to help analyze intelligence and the plan of the mission in real time. When Anthropic employees found about it, someone asked Planter executives whether Claude had been used in the raid. The Pentagon found about this question and they were furious. Their interpretation, Anthropic might disapprove on how the AI was being used during a live military operation. For the Pentagon, this was a major red flag. Anthropic denied any inappropriate outreach, but the damage was done. The relationship was cracking. Fast forward to Feb 24th. Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth calls Anthropic CEO Dario Amodei into a meeting at the Pentagon. He delivers an ultimatum. By Friday, Feb 27th, at exactly 5:01 p.m., Anthropic must have to agree to allow the Pentagon to use Claude for any lawful purpose. No exceptions, no restrictions. If they don't, 3 consequences. First, cancel Anthropic $200 million contract with the DoD. Second, designate Anthropic a supply chain risk, a label historically reserved for foreign adversaries like Russia and China. This would ban every military contract in America from doing business with Anthropic. 3. Invoke the Defense Production Act of 1950, a wartime law that would let government forcibly take access to any technology. Anthropic has 72 hours to decide. Dario Amodei published a lengthy blog post. He is clear. Anthropic believes deeply in using AI to defend democracy. In fact, they have been the first frontier AI company to classify a military network. They have helped with intelligence analysis, operation planning, cybersecurity. They have even turned down hundreds of millions of dollars in revenue to cut off Chinese military-linked firms from using Claude. But there are 2 lines they are not willing to cross. Line 1. No mass domestic surveillance of the American citizens. The argument, AI can now take legally available data, your location, your browsing history, your associations, and stitch it back into a complete profile of your life at scale automatically. The law hasn't caught up to what AI can do yet. Line 2. No fully autonomous weapons. AI systems today are simply not reliable enough to make kill decisions without a human in the loop. Anthropic released a second statement saying the new contractual language sent by the Pentagon overnight made virtually no progress. Their exact words, new language framed as compromise was paired with legal that would allow the safeguard to be disregarded at will. The Pentagon fires back through Sean Parnell, chief Pentagon spokesman. This is simple, common sense request. We will not let any company dictate the terms regardless how we make operational decisions. And then, Emil Michael, the Pentagon chief technology negotiator, goes further. He calls Amodei a liar with a god complexion who is putting our nation's safety at risk. Meanwhile, behind the closed door, something else was happening. Top Senate leaders from both the parties privately write to both Anthropic and Pentagon, urging them to extend negotiations and work with Congress to find a solution. They are worried about what public breakdown could mean for AI policies in America. Friday, Feb 27th. The deadline passes. Anthropic doesn't budge. Within hours, the government responds hard. This week, Anthropic delivered a masterclass in arrogance and betrayal. American warfare will never be held hostage. Headset officially designate Anthropic a supply chain risk to national security, effective immediately. Every contractor, supplier, or partner that does business with the US military is banned from commercial activities with Anthropic. Trump goes further. Personally, the left-wing nut jobs at Anthropic have made a disastrous mistake. I am directing every federal agency to immediately cease all the use of Anthropic technology. We don't need it, we don't want it, and we will do no business with them again. A 6-month phase-out period is given to agencies currently using Claude. Anthropic respond calmly. They call the resignation unprecedented and legally unsound. They point out the obvious contradictions, labeling them a security risk, while also calling Claude essentially a national security. They announce they will challenge the designation to court. They also reassure their customers, commercial users, and API developers are completely unaffected. Only Department of War, specifically the contractors working, is impacted. The industry body publicly backs Anthropic, calling the supply chain designation overboard, and warns it sets a dangerous precedent for any American company that negotiates with the government. Earlier that same day, Altman had said he understood Anthropic concerns, and the OpenAI had the same red lines. He questions the Pentagon threatening behavior. Sam Altman announced OpenAI has reached a deal with Department of War to deploy its models in classified military network. He says OpenAI has the same red lines, no mass surveillance and no autonomous weapons, but achieved them differently through cloud-only deployment, including the Fourth Amendment. The internet did not react well. OpenAI's San Francisco office were covered in chalk graffitis. More than 430 Google and OpenAI employees have signed open letter urging their leadership to stand with Anthropic, and Claude shot to number 1 on Apple App Store as users start switching to protests. Even Altman admitted the optics doesn't look good. Musk, whose own AI company xAI has already signed a deal with the Pentagon on the government terms, took the other side entirely. He stated Anthropic hates the Western civilization. And on March 2nd, one more update came. OpenAI publishes update explicitly banning use of AI for domestic surveillance of US persons, even going further to ban the procurement of commercial available personal data for surveillance. They announced a joint working group with Pentagon leadership and Frontier AI Labs to create ongoing policy dialogues. And then the most stunning part of the entire story takes place. Friday, Feb 27th. Trump bans Anthropic. Headset designate them to a security risk. OpenAI announced their deal. But then, hours later, the United States and Israel launch a massive coordinated airstrike on Iran. Codename Operation Epic Fury. What did the Pentagon use to identify target, assess intelligence, and simulate battle scenarios in real time? Can you guess it? Anthropic Claude. The military used the AI they had just banned during a live combat operation because it was too deeply embedded to remove overnight. As one expert put it, separating the military from Claude would be an open heart surgery. The ban said 6 months. The war started the same night. So, where does that leave us? Anthropic said no and got blacklisted. OpenAI said yes, but claims their deal has stronger protection through architecture rather than just contractual language. Critics say their protection are unenforceable once the government decide to push. And the Iran story tells us something uncomfortable. It doesn't actually matter who approved list. Once AI is inside military classified infrastructure, the politics for procurement doesn't stop a bombing run. The real question this story raises isn't shouldn't AI company work with the military? The question is who decides where the lines are? The company, the government, or does nobody decides? And we just find out after the fact. That's the full story, from Venezuela to Iran, from the $200 million contract to getting blacklisted. Drop your thoughts in the comment. Do you think Anthropic made the right call or OpenAI find the smartest path? Like this video if this breakdown was useful and subscribe so you don't miss follow-ups on this because this story is absolutely not over. See you next time.